Listen, a lot of times when it comes to dads and their daughters, right? It's a very special relationship. It's not like dads and sons. Actually, the- in other words, the relationship is going to be specific either or. Dads and sons have a specific relationship. Dads and daughters have a specific relationship. But today we're going to talk about the dads and the daughters. A lot of times dads they always want to see their daughters as their little princess, their little girl. As they grow up, they're like 70 years old, and the dads still see them as a little girl. So for those dads who do not want their daughters to date until they're like 50 years old, is it a protective tactic or is it selfishly annoying? And what this topic means is I'm pretty sure y'all have heard dads say, "Oh, my little girl, she's not going to date until she's 50," or "No, my little girl, she's never going to get married," or "My little girl, she's not going to, she's going to marry who I say she married." It's always these restrictions, right, on the daughters. It's almost like, you know, in some people's mind, it could come off as a protective tactic, like, oh, he really loves his little girl. He's a daddy's girl. He's really looking out for his daughter. But like upon further inspection, it can it be a little annoying. Cause think about it. Like I said, as y'all know, dads and their sons. I know a lot of dads who will let their sons date so young. I mean, sometimes they're so young that they shouldn't even be dating. Like, what are you talking about dating? He's 8 years old. Like, he needs to be worried about his school. But they always find it so cool or so acceptable. But then of course when it comes to their daughters, it's like, oh no, we got to put a chastity belt on her until she's 50. And of course, obviously 50 years old is an exaggeration. But the point is, that's how a lot of dads see it. In other words, it's like as long as he can keep her under his thumb, he's gonna do it. And I always find this I find it annoyingly selfish. I'll tell you why. Number one, because think about it. Most dads, when they were young, they want to date girls? You know what I'm saying? They wanted to date girls and meet girls and things like that. So obviously, you need a girl, a part of the mix, correct? But then it's like whenever they have an offspring, when they have a daughter, now they look at it totally different. They don't look at it like, oh well, no. When I was a boy, yeah, I wanted to date girls too, and I wanted girls to date me. I wanted girls to be interested in me. So why not have their daughters be interested in some boys? I'm not saying any type of boys, but why not also give your daughters that freedom to date? Girls, they grow up, they start finding boys attractive after a while. You mean to tell me that just if she finds a boy attractive, she can't ever date him just because of your worries and your insecurities? And let's talk about these worries and insecurities. Why do these dads have all these worries and insecurities when it comes to dating for their daughters? Well, let's talk about it. Well, for one thing, because they always think of the worst that could happen to their daughter. But isn't it also interesting? They're worried about what the worst could happen to their daughter, which means that it's going to be coming from a male, right? So that's why I always say the daughters wouldn't have to grow up in a world where they can't even date, at a young age because they're worried about what a boy could do. So why don't these parents ever get their boys correct? See, now did you hear what I just said earlier? Earlier I said that a lot of times with the sons, they allow the sons to date at 8, 9, and whatever age that they want, probably 5 years old. What I'm saying? I've seen little boys, and like if the little boy, don't really know what he's doing. He's 5 years old. He act like he got a girlfriend. They think, oh look, he got a girlfriend. They think it's cute, right? But they think it's cute with their daughters. If she's 5 years old, no, come on, come. So they need to do that with the boys too. If you get your boys right, then you won't have to worry so much about your daughters. You know what I'm saying? But people don't see it like that. To me, it is such an easy science. You teach your boys how to respect the opposite sex. Teach your boys how to restrain their needs. Teach your boys, chivalry, bring chivalry back, bring compassion back. Teach your boys about females, that females or maybe they have more emotions, all these kind of things. Teach your boys how to treat females, so that way as they grow up, you won't have to worry so much. You know, are these males going to treat my daughters correctly? Yeah, because you already know. Well, you know what? I feel pretty good about our daughters because we as a community, we as people, we raise our boys to be men, to to treat our their women, our women, our daughters with respect. But no, see, the reason why the dads are worried the way they are because they remember how they were as a boy. They probably had no respect for women. You hear me? They probably ran through women. If y'all remember my show either last week or 2 weeks ago, I told you about a guy from one of those reality shows who said that he had slept with 500 men. I mean, 500 men. I'm sorry, 500 women. I'm sorry. He slept with 500 men. That's another show. But no, he slept with 500 women. And he was proud of it. Well, at least outwardly, he acted like he was proud of it. Inwardly, there's obviously something's wrong there. Something's broken for you to go through 500 women. You can't find one that you want to stick with. So yeah. So those guys like that are the type of guys that dads are worried about. You know what I'm saying? These guys who just want to go through their daughters, not never commit, not respect them, just use them for their own pleasure and throw them to the side. Also too, I bet you $1,000 that guy who's been with 500 women, I bet you if he did have a daughter, he would be so protective. Isn't that crazy? Now, he has the audacity to try to keep his daughter away from men. Well, maybe that's what 500 other dads should have done to you. So it's just weird how dads get whenever they have daughters of their own. They want to get all protective and all this kind of stuff like that. It's just really, really, really ridiculous. So yeah. So you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. What do you all think? Do you all think that that it's a protective tactic? That comes from dads whenever they do this. They're being very, very protective, or can it be a little annoyingly selfish? Just kind of annoying. I also know that what's his name? Boris Kojo. Boris Kojo, the actor. I know that he did something like that as well, where he was on an interview one time and he was saying how like, oh yeah, my daughter, she's not gonna date, and he just said she's never gonna date, or she's not gonna date until a long, long time or something like that. So I mean, it was just ridiculous. It was just ridiculous. So my thing, but I think he has sons, and he allows them to date. So it's like, okay, but once again, think about it. You allow your sons to do things that you don't want your daughters to do. So, but who are these daughters going to be looking for? The sons that you allow to be wild and crazy. So, anyway, I don't know. So, let me know your thoughts on this topic. Do you think dads are is it just protective? This is how dads should be, the way that it goes, that makes sense? Or are they just being a little annoyingly selfish?